Hear ye, all you folks who've been looking for some good news in Gainesville, just got it today. A possible breakthrough for Billy Napier, picking off one of the premier players in the portal, offensive lineman who should be good to go right away for the Gators. Big news. Zandamela commits to the Florida Gators offensive line. Just got a lot better. Stand by. We're going to talk about it tonight. Orange and Bluebloods with Ben Troupe leading off, followed by Franz and Loren Meadows all tonight with some great news out of Gainesville. Coming your way next right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Tell your friends and neighbors we are on the air.
Time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ? I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the program. Some really good news tonight for Gator fans who have been looking for it. The Gators have picked off Jason Zandamela, USC Trojan transfer, interior offensive lineman, has committed to the Gators, and that's some great news. Zandamela talked about it earlier. I was up in Gainesville on Friday night. I heard whispers. He was in the building with one of the offensive coaches, and that things looked good, and sure enough, they were good. And this is the kind of news you need out of Gainesville if you're hoping for a breakthrough or improvement. A key piece. Just shut up, excuse me. Let's go to the Orange and Bluebloods room where he's already drinking. I see that he's swilling down something already. A guy that doesn't normally drink is apparently very happy about the news. Good evening to you, Ben Troupe.
Always good to be on with you, buddy. I saw, and obviously, whenever you get a new, a big time recruit, like Big Jason. I mean, I think it's number one with Billy Napier getting so much scrutiny when it comes to everything. He gets a lot of scrutiny, as he will, no matter what. What he's doing in recruiting doesn't get enough credit because we look at it as we want to sensationalize stuff. Early signing day, we were underwhelmed. I get it. National signing day, you get McCray, yes. You get Lagway, but then it's who else? I remember when Jason jumped into the portal, it was always who's gonna get him. I give Billy Napier this much credit for this reason. He does it his way. I get it. I think it propelled us in like the top 7 recruiting class now because of him now. It's something like that. And I know that when everything first started, I think Florida was like number 3 or 4. Then the actual recruits start signing because NIL is a huge factor. But this is a great pickup because, and everybody who got something to say around the state, and around college football, when they ask how is this possible, well, I'm gonna keep on saying it, buddy. Florida is still a big brand, a huge brand, and I think the thing is when you start looking at what players want to do, players want to go to places to where, hey man, I want to go somewhere to where I get a chance to develop. No greater place to develop than the University of Florida. I just think it's a great timing type pickup, and it's what you needed. Interior offensive lineman. You already know, buddy, with so much talk about the skill position. We want to talk about safety and corner and linebacker and running back and tight end and wide receiver. Got to have them guys up front that can open up holes. And because one thing you have in common with the best teams in college football, solid quarterback play. They don't got to be the greatest, but it is solid from the center to both guards to both tackles. So I'm happy because you can never have enough depth. You add a lot of depth with a young man like this, and it just shows that Billy Napier know what he's doing. Now, true indeed, buddy, ain't nobody played yet. Ain't no games yet. So all is well right now. But I will take it because I think the difference in getting a recruit and not getting a play out the transfer portal. I get it. Everybody thinks it always comes down to NIL, and that's a huge factor. I am not taking NIL out of it. But if you don't think these players are watching what's going on around the SEC, particularly, what's going on with their position group, they want some of that. So shout out to Billy Napier for getting it done. I know you told me, buddy, that he was at Spurious, him and Coach Rob Sell, so he's still making the rounds. But with college football kind of not being in the news right now, unless it's something crazy. I'm just happy that we still finding a way to. And he said it. I'm not gonna nothing against Dan Mullen, but for everything Dan Mullen wasn't in recruiting, Billy Napier is adding more. I mean, he goes out and gets done. Like I said, I'll take it. I mean, second day of May, slow news day, as Jay Leno would say. I think it become a really, really good news day. So shout out to Florida, shout out to Billy Napier getting it done. Like I said, you always trying to stack talent. The more talent I stack, the less I have to worry when people leave. Because nowadays, buddy, you got to get enough talent. If people leave, which is going to happen every year, you don't lose anything. So, and I'm not saying that, I know what goes into recruiting now. Oh, and let me say this to some of these players my age. For all these players my age that got so much to say about these athletes, if you're in college football right now, you're doing the same thing. You cannot say what you would have done right now back then. So I'm just making sure that when it comes to, all these players that got something to say, I would have. If Buddy Martin, who loves Florida, as he should, it ain't about if you love it or don't love it. I mean, you're gonna do what's best for you. So all these players is thinking, oh, I would have just stayed loyal. Okay, players used to jump in the portal when I was there. Well, they used to jump into the transfer portal, but it was different back then. You had to actually let your head coach know where you had to give him a list of where you wanted to go. It's not going to be in the conference. Let me tell you something. If your coach lets you transfer within the conference, yeah, I'm going to tell you this. One, they're not afraid of you, and two, you're not that good. I'm going to say it again. If your coach lets you transfer within the conference, one, they're not afraid of you, and two, you're not that good. And I know what y'all saying. Wait a minute, Ben. Now I'm talking about back then. I'm not talking about now. You can go wherever you want to. You can go wherever you want to go. But shout out to Billy Napier. I just think that, buddy, he gets so much. He gets so much feedback. I don't want to call it negative criticism. I don't want to call it negativity. It's feedback. He's the head coach of Florida. So
he closed the deal on a guy who's 6'3", 306, played rugby, a native of Mozambique. But he attended Clearwater Academy International. No doubt that's one reason he knew about the Gators. It mattered. It matters to the in-state guys. And he had made an official visit to UCF. And he was the number 29 overall player and the number 2 interior offensive lineman in the on-3 transfer portal rankings. Now, I mean, this is quality. This is what you need to do to build your program. His quote was, I really enjoyed my time in Florida. I've been here a couple of game day visits, but I never came on an official visit in my recruiting cycle. I spent more time with the coaches on this weekend's visit. It was great. And I know one thing he was told at Spurrier's, I heard by the grapevine that he was told, you go ahead and take your visits to whatever school you want to say, but you'll never find anything like this here, meaning Spurrier's. And obviously what a weapon that's become. So shout out to Freddie Weeby and those guys. And there's things going on there we don't know about. I just happened to be there that night when I heard that going on. There's things happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. And this is what you need. So now we got something to say. Hey, look, this is the kind of guy when you give the ball to Ball or whoever on 3rd and 2, he gets you the first.
Yeah.
Run it right up the gut, and you give it to and the big guy clears the way, right? That's what you need. Now your running game suddenly, which is shaping up nicely, becomes all of a sudden a weapon, and that makes it easier for Mertz to throw the football.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, that's football 101. I think I think the thing about football that we get lost in, right? And I get it. I want, as they say, right? You want these, these eye-catching players. I want the 5-star running back. I want the 5-star tight end. I want the 5-star safety. I get it. But when it comes to offense, right? What makes offense simple and easy is when you can run the ball. Because when you can run the ball, buddy, it speeds the game up, right? And it makes the game easy. Because D linemen, I don't care what they say, they don't want 3 yards in a cloud of dust, 4 yards in a cloud of dust. 3rd and 2, first down. Here come the 3 yards in the cloud of dust, and here it is again. Now, those safeties are creeping up to the line of scrimmage. Now you got play action. Now Wilson got one-on-one. Now Bordenham got one-on-one. So now you're pushing the ball down the field. And just when when the safeties back up, what you do again? 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Right, yeah. 4 yards and let me tell you who perfected it. When Coach Spurrier got to Florida, I know it was the fun and gun. What did Coach Spurrier always have? A great running back. Eric Rett was a great running back. Fred Taylor was a great.
The most underrated running back. Florida.
Yeah. So for everybody that's thinking that, Spurrier. I played with Ernest Graham and Robert Gillespie. I played with those guys for 2 years when we had Coach Spurrier. And the thing about this is, we didn't understand that these throwing lanes were opening up these running lanes so wide that you start saying, dude, how is it complementary? Because if I'm a safety and I got to guard 50 yards, 50 yards wide, 100 yards long of grass. And if I make a mistake, touchdown. Because let me tell you something. I don't care who the safety is. Safeties don't want to be hitting those guys 215, 220 pounds one-on-one. Because I think we're bringing in guys like this, buddy, you making the run game simple. Because now guys getting hats on guys. Now linebackers are trying to get off, they're trying to get off a guard's block. Now, by the time Montreal even touch a person, he's 4 yards down the field. He's 5 yards down the field. Yeah. So what is Montreal going to do? Or, and these different guys. So I just like these type of pickups for this. Yeah. You can't tell me you're serious about running the football if you don't get these caliber of players. You get this caliber player. 1, he's bought in. 2, he understands what it is. And 3, you living up to it because you go back, not to give him any credit. You go back to them early Alabama winning teams with Nick Saban. They was running the ball. Now they got to or they moved away from it once they got a big time thrower. But Graham Mercer, what he does throwing the football, what we want to do running the football, establishing a balanced offense, it's gonna make us even scarier, buddy. Because like I said, I always told Rob G and Ernest Graham and Deshaun Wynn and Seatric Faison how much I appreciate them because when they doing their job, everybody benefits. All 10 other guys benefit. When that run game is not. So I'm happy that they got him. I'm just happy for Billy Napier, buddy, because like I said, the one thing you can never criticize him about is getting players in there. He get them in there. Obviously, he got to, they got to learn the system and things of that nature. But, hey, when they said we want you to take other visits because we want you to compare where you going to where you at, they said ain't nobody gonna give you better facilities in Florida. I like that type of confidence because most of the time they'll say, don't go to this other school. Don't go to that. No, where you going? Oh, go ahead. Tell him we said hello, and you'll be back. And he is. So, hey man, certain cities got the beach. They got Mickey Mouse, right? We got tradition. We got a hell of a football team. We got a hell of a city, and it don't have to have it don't have to be metropolitan. Even though nowadays, buddy, Gainesville got a little bougie now. They got these nice restaurants, areas, which is fine. I'm not mad at them, but at the same time, the more amenities the University of Florida can provide, the better the experience is. I just saw Derek Wingo on SEC Network. You know who was?
Was he good or what?
Listen. You know who was? There go Chris Dorn.
Yeah, I saw it.
You got Chris Dorn, so you got a former Gator great helping a current Gator right now on fire. It's stuff like that. It's stuff like that saying, look, man, I'm telling you, Derek Wingo went to freaking NASA. I mean, where you going today, Derek? NASA? What? So I'm just happy at the fact that Billy Napier said, if I'm gonna get this thing right, which I think he is and will, At the Coach Spurrier effect. Coach Spurrier said it easy. It don't matter how great of a coach you are. If you ain't got the talent, it's going to be hard to win. But if you got the talent, it makes what I do easier. So I think Billy Napier is saying, look, you know how easy it is to do what I do and implement what I do when I got great players doing it? So I like the approach. I like the mentality. Love the fact that we got Big Jason today. And like I say, implement them to the system. Implement them to the system and get them acclimated. And I think getting guys like that definitely helps. When you're trying to get back to what Florida.
Well, it's the right guy at the right time in the right position.
Yes,
they're one wide receiver away from what they need to be now. They got the big stud offensive lineman. They got the quarterback position. They got the wide receivers. This is really and they're on the number 85 scholarships. So they're all good. The systems are all go. And now you look back and you think, well, maybe Billy Napier knew what he was doing. Maybe this is all coming around his way. And you need these kind of boosts to get your program going. Now, all of a sudden, you have this massive schedule, which is the hardest in the history of college football. What if they break out and win 5 of the first 6? Now you think, well, you win a couple of the back end. Now you're looking at 7 wins. Well, I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying it now becomes more realistic, especially when you can hand the rock off to a running back and he can get behind a guy like Jason Zandamela. And he can clear him out and get 2 and 3 and 4 yards a pop. So.
Hold on. And I got to say this though. Because people say, how do you go and get a guy like Jason? If you don't think Jason won what Osiris Torrance did, if you don't think he saw him a couple of years ago saying, hey man, Osiris Torrance, I don't care what no one says, he was the best guard in the country. Not in the SEC. He was the best guard in the country. He got a brick to prove it. Second round draft pick. So, buddy, no greater asset to a player that you want to get than a player that just left. When they say, you saw Osiris, right? Yeah, Yeah. And he came, listen, and he came over from Louisiana, him and Montreal. Got a brick. First team All-America.
Yeah.
Right? First team All-America mean that's what the world looked at him and said. They looked at every guard in college football and said he's one of the best. Him.
Consensus All-America. Consensus.
Yeah. So when Jason comes in, that's the thing too, buddy. Most teams they don't get to say I got an all-conference player. Consensus All-American, that means that they put your tape up against all the guards in the country and said, hey, man, you see this kid right here? So that kind of stuff makes life easier. Having a Kyle Pitts is going into his 4th year already. That should show you how fast time flies. When you have players like that and you're trying to get a tight end, you saying, look, man, you want what he had? Yeah. Well, come out there and show. He earned those reps. So for me, I got a kid like Jason, and what it shows is that marketing tool, all you need is a player you just had. That's the easiest one. Take Florida out of it for a second. Hey, Jason, you know who Osiris? Oh yeah, the kid from Buffalo. Yeah, love him. Yeah, he was over here with us. Really? Yeah. That's the easiest way because you can't. The tape don't lie. Look at it. So, and you know what they say, buddy? When a team ain't playing well collectively, I'm talking about wins and losses. They'll say you could be that piece. You can help us get 3 or 4 more wins.
Come on over here and help us get it. Yeah.
So
I agree.
Let's do it.
And the other thing I heard from a good friend of mine today, who had an audience with a group of boosters and Todd Golden, he was really impressed. He went into the meeting not being 100% sold on Golden, thinking he was probably the guy. Came out of the meeting and say, absolutely, he's the guy. And Golden's got some ideas and thoughts about expanding. And one thing I like about the fact is that he has now looked to the program and some of the people who've been around the program for years and started asking them about what was it like when Donovan was here. Oh, yeah, there was that booster group. Well, let's go talk to those guys. You got to get the whole nation together. And I think Todd's realizing now, reaching out to groups who've been loyal in the past are going to pay dividends to him. And now he's starting to get it, And
but it takes a little while though. Like, and I'm gonna keep saying this. I know Buddy Martin ain't gonna say this about himself, right? But every school has traditions across the board, meaning on the field, off the field, in the media, in the community, with boosters, right? And if you've been loyal, continue to be loyal to Florida in whatever capacity. And for some kind of way, your name ain't on the list no more. They're not reaching out to you. To me, that's what made coaching hard. When yes, you're gonna come in and you're gonna implement. And listen. As my granddaddy would say, you're supposed to be speaking to the people whose jerseys are older. They got tears in them. That's how long they've been around. The ones that when Florida had the cutoff jerseys where all the guys had to have nice abs because the jersey was cut off at the stomach. You got to make sure that you take care of the ones that was taking care of Florida when no one was doing it but them. When they was looking out for Florida, was listen, man. Yeah. We gonna put our listen. Before our pennies became dollars and dollars became millions and whatever it is. I think what these what Kyle Goldman, what Billy Napier's understanding is you gotta look to the people who gonna be here when you here and when you gone. Because these people gonna be here no matter what. Mm-hmm. So those are the ones when I'm blessed to go to speak at Florida Gator clubs around Florida or wherever, I always make sure I just go throughout the crowd and just talk to the listeners. And I listen to their stories. When they get to saying, Ben, I've been watching Florida since then. And you start realizing, as much as we want to make it about the current crop is only here because of the previous crop. We're only doing what we're doing. So I hope that Todd Goldman understands that the people who are going to speak on your behalf are the ones who are not tweeting. Yeah. They're on social media. Those are the grandkids that's doing all that.
Todd Golden is fixing to understand it right now. Absolutely. I think you're right that the old Gators are valuable. The first of all, they got money. Secondly, they care, and thirdly, they're loyal when they get involved. So absolutely, we're going to take a real quick break here and come back and talk more about what's going on there with the Gator football team, and also. I saw a story that there's a new NIL deal where you can get your own, have a vendor. And now Florida's got an NIL store, Mark Cuban. Now Campus Inc. has got a, that's a smart idea. There's all kinds of commerce now popping up around this. It's not just the players making money. There's other opportunities for people. Here's a good example from that. So we'll talk about that as well. So let's listen. I saw Jeffrey Meldon last night up in Tuesday night in Gainesville. I had a great visit with Jeffrey. He's asked me to come down and speak to his scholar athletes group in May, and I'm going to see if I can get down there and do that. And so it's a good group last night. Here was Jeffrey talking about what's going on with his business a lot, if you listen to what Jeffrey's saying. Jeffrey Meldon. Jeffrey, you do a show where you ask a lot of questions. I've got one for you right now, okay, regarding how do you know whether your case is being handled right and what to do about it. In medicine, you can get a second opinion if you're not satisfied with the doctor's opinion that they have. And do you have that in law? Can you do that with lawyers?
Yeah, buddy. As a matter of fact, we get quite a few calls from folks that have signed up, particularly with the big box law firms that they do a hell of a good job of putting ads on TV. But after that, they don't really measure up to the way we try to create a client experience that's outstanding. And we're always willing to review a case and give a second opinion, just like with a doctor, because not all law firms are created equal.
I guess that's the normal thing. Just go to Meldon Law, Google it, and find out, and just give them a call. And like you say, if you come in, you get to see a Meldon. You don't get shuffled off to somebody else. You get to see a Meldon, and that's good to know because a lot of people don't know how to do that stuff, like me. And maybe you can coach us through. So Meldon Law, they won't back down. They will take your questions about your case if you have a question.
Yes, whether it's a new case or an existing case. Give us a call. We'd be glad to go over it with you. There's no charge to review your case with you. And a lot of times it makes good sense just to get a second opinion.
Good stuff from Meldon Law. They don't back down, but they will give you a second opinion. Thanks, Jeffrey. Did you see Tiger Woods got a special exemption to play in the Open?
He should, right? I mean, I don't know.
Absolutely should. Yeah.
Tiger Woods should have to whatever stipulations or protocol it is to make tournaments. Name a tournament Tiger Woods ain't won 5 times. I mean, I think Tiger Woods birthed an entire generation of golfers. There ain't two. When you see a golfer on whatever the final round is, they're gonna have on the red polo, the black pants, right, and the black hat. That's Tiger Woods. So Tiger Woods got $100 million from the PGA for being loyal. That's the least they could do for him. He never went over to the Live Tour, So it's Tiger Woods, man. I mean, people talking about his performance or lack thereof in the Masters. We're not too many years removed from Tiger Woods winning the Masters. So what do we? Shout out to Tiger Woods, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I mean,
he made a statement about it. You don't hear Tiger saying this kind of thing very often. Obviously, he's been a lot of humility now, what he's gone through with, and battling just to be out there on the course, and it's very much appreciated. He said, "I'm honored to receive this exemption and cannot be more excited for the opportunity to compete in this year's U.S. Open, especially at Pinehurst, a venue that means so much to the game." Of course, that's where Payne Stewart won the Open, remember? And Tiger, can you imagine 15 years ago, Tiger saying he's honored to be able to get a chance to play in an Open? I mean, that's just where he is.
Well, buddy, when I had a cup of coffee with the Tampa Bay Bucks back in 2008, we trained in Orlando at Celebration in Orlando, and Tiger Woods was there. Like, he came in, we was all like at a team meeting. He walked in, and you could hear a pin drop. I mean, he didn't speak long. He was just telling us how fan and watches us. That's Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is one of the most famous people on the planet. Most people that play sports are only known for the community that watches that sport. Tiger Woods is known, period. He walks in the room, there go Tiger Woods. Like, I just saw a kid get drafted by the Buffalo Bills. He's playing, he's in the locker room trying to hit a little golf club in a little golf game. He's 20 years old. You know what he said? I'm Tiger Woods. 20. So, Tiger, shout out to the U.S. Open for even the PGA for even understanding the importance of having Tiger Woods at our tournament. Like, dude, he draws. He gonna draw numbers. He gonna definitely draw fans. And for those golfers that came up, telling their parents, I want to play school golf set growing up. I'm Tiger Woods. There he is walking right by you. And Tiger Woods seemed not that he wasn't before, but you said he seems a lot more personable now. Because I think the pressure, yes, he wants to win, but the pressure to win is off.
Yeah, Ben, as a black man, you got to be really proud of Tiger, and you must know now what those guys felt like when Jackie Robinson had the breakthrough, broke the color line, And I remember, and Franz does too, when I don't know if Franz was this particular Masters, but today, in fact, we were watching the Help, which at Augusta is mostly black. And when he came up the 18th and he was about to win the Masters, you think there wasn't some pride in those people? Man, they were just thrilled to see one of their own out there in Augusta, of all places, winning that Masters. I've never seen that before, but they were out there and they were watching Tiger Woods. Just like people watch Franz Beard write when he's writing. They all come out to watch him write.
Hardly. Buddy, I remember Charlie Cootie? Was it Jim Thorpe? Some of these guys who tried to get on the PGA Tour, they couldn't get and they couldn't play every week because they couldn't get sponsors. Nobody would sponsor.
Charlie Shepard. That's
who it was. Charlie, and Jim Thorpe, who could hit a ball farther than anybody on the planet at the time. And I think he was an Ocala guy too, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't no Ocala man. No, wasn't no Ocala.
But could hit a ball farther than anybody on the planet, but he couldn't get a sponsor. And back in those days, you had to have sponsors or you couldn't make it. I mean, even Jack Nicklaus had sponsors.
Yeah.
Arnold Palmer had sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Pay the expenses, and then the prize money. Well, you split the prize money, but you had to have the sponsors, and it was so hard for black men to get sponsors. White guys could come out of college, and they had a college network of professional people who they could depend on. And Houston for the longest time was a pipeline to the PGA Tour. And all those Houston guys contributed money so that the next generation coming up would have sponsors coming up. And we didn't have that. So it's great now to see, young black guys on, for example, the Corn Ferry Tour coming up and stuff like that are getting their chance. You see young black guys on your mainstream old school college golf teams that you didn't see that 25 years ago. Certainly didn't see it 51 years ago when I covered the Masters and met this guy named Buddy Martin there when I lost the first gear of my MG in the Augusta National in the red clay mud of the Augusta National parking lot. And you look at this stuff that's going up and you see the barriers. And I'll say this, whether you agree with them or not politically, you got to hand it to this country to not once but twice elect a black man president. That doesn't matter. And I don't care if you agree with him or not politically. It says something about this country, though, that we would elect a black man as the president. I remember in 1990s when people used it against late 1990s, around the time you came along, Anquan Bolden wanted to sign a scholarship with Florida, and they convinced him to sign with FSU because they convinced him Steve Spurrier will never play a black man at quarterback. So he goes up to FSU, and guess what happens within 3 days of his first practice? He's a wide receiver. And he could have come here, and Spurrier would have let him compete.
Franz, before I get too far from this good stuff, let's get to the really big story tonight. Florida picks up a quality player, the number 2 interior lineman in the portal, a guy who's a former rugby player, 6'3", 306, they say, who's quite an athlete, and now they've got a go-to guy in the line. They got a guy they got a road grader up there. They can get the ball to a running back on 3rd and 2 or whatever and run the football. What does that mean to this program?
Well, it tells you that, first off, the fact that he's the first incoming transfer, that tells us that Billy Napier is very confident in the guys he's got, that he's not going out there and wholesale picking up guys right and left. It tells you that he's got a roster of guys that pretty much he picked out of here. And so he's not going with these wholesale transfers. Ole Miss may have to do that because Ole Miss, the state of Mississippi, may only produce 9 or 10 true Division I football players who can play at the SEC level every year, whereas the state of Florida will produce 40.
What they have, 18 guys in the portal at Ole Miss?
A bunch, and they've traded for. I mean, they've got a bunch of them coming in right now. I mean, hey, he picked up 2 tremendous running backs. My gosh, he's already got Ulysses Bentley, and he picked up Henry Parrish, and he picked up another one. I mean, Lane's loaded up, but he's got to. It's a different story here at Florida, where you don't have to do that. You can build your program with your high school guys in the state of Florida, and go into Georgia and pick up 2 or 3 there every year, and so forth like that. But it says something that it's only one, and it says something else that the guy he picks up is really a quality guy that may have a chance to compete for that right guard position, because as much as we want Damian George to be that guy at 6'6" and 360, who's, you want that big pile driver in there, especially on the right side and you're a right-handed running team. There are questions whether he can do it or not. And this is a guy that may be a true plug-and-play guy that you just plug him in there and he will play immediately.
Ben and I think Florida got exponentially better as a football team with this guy. This is serious business. I was telling Ben earlier also, I picked up on this on Friday night. I was there at Spurrier's, and I got the word from somebody that Rob Sale was upstairs with this guy from USG, and they were talking about how great it was to be at Spurrier's, that his next visit, which I guess is UCF, whatever, he said, you won't be seeing anything like this there. What a great tool it's become for recruiting for Florida. And apparently, Zandamela talked about how great it was to get a chance to visit with the coaches this time a little bit. And this is a quality plug-and-play guy. If you can now run the football legitimately, Florida was pretty close to it. Now you have all kinds of options, friends. Ben, we were talking about that. What does that mean when you know you got a guy there? You hand the ball to Montrell and say, "Go get me 2 or 3 yards," and you don't know he can make it. He can make it on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, it makes life easier. It makes life easier. Just saying.
Well, you got to have guys like that. I mean, one of the things I always loved about Spurrier's first 3 years here was I don't remember Eric Rhett ever missing a 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2, you hand the ball to Eric Rhett, it was a done deal. But that's not a done deal if you don't have guys up front that get the job done for you. And everybody has told me that right guard is the only missing link in this offensive line. They love Najee Harris at the left guard. They love the 2 tackles they brought in, Crenshaw Dixon and Devin Manuel. Jake Slaughter, everybody just raves about Jake Slaughter. They say that he is like he's playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. He's so much into the mental game of it. And they say that he and Graham Mertz can almost finish each other's sentences because they're both that smart. So you add a guy like this that comes in there that has that kind of power and kind of strength to move people. Now all of a sudden that offensive line is looking really, really good. And if Damian George does come along, it looks even better.
Yeah, certainly got a whole lot. But I think we got Loren in the house. Let's go see if we can find him. Coach Meadows is there. I know he likes his play. Wants to run the football a little bit. Let's go see what's going on to Coach Loren Meadows. What's up, Loren?
How you guys doing?
Good, man. How about the news on Zandamela?
It's a big pickup. Like Franz said, it kind of solidifies an offensive line that in talking to, Austin Barber a couple times and things like that, I mean, they already feel pretty good about the group that they have. It's solid it's day one starter depth. And no matter whether if it's George or the young man was talking about, I mean, you just have more depth. And right now, like I said, that's a unit that really feels good about where they are. The addition of, the second O-line coach from the Cleveland Browns, from what I understand, it's different, but the techniques that are being taught are something that's a lot of aha moments on the offensive line in a good way. And so, it's going to be able to protect Graham Mertz more. And like you said, buddy, it's nothing like extending possessions, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, where you can even those mid downs, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and medium, and you can still run the football, So just being able to do that, have the depth, because we know injuries are going to come, whether it's during the game or throughout the season, and just having that added depth is immense. So, you got a day one starter there, somebody that can come in and be part of, you like to have, 7 to 8 guys that you can hang your hat on. And I think the Gators are headed in the right direction. I like Slaughter at center, and this is just going to be a really good group, I think.
Franz, how much better a team is Florida now, and does this change the picture where they're up against this brutal schedule, where everybody's got them down for losing 6-7 games? If they can get it to 5-1, which they could do looking at the schedule, now with players like this, on the back half of the schedule, maybe you steal 1 or 2 games. You just need to win. So who was it saying today? Maybe you said, friends, but Scott Carter, whoever said, if they can get 7 wins this year, there's a whole bunch more money there for Billy Napier for the portal and for the NIL.
Well, I agree with that. There will be more money. I also agree. Cole Kubelik said today that he thinks that Florida is going to be one of these buy Florida stock, because he believes Florida is going to be far better than anybody expects. And when you see even Feinbaum starting to hedge back toward Florida as a player, and the reason for it, buddy, is now they've got depth, and they've got quality depth, and they don't. If a guy goes down, you can put in a guy that has some experience in there, and so forth. They've got the possibility to be really good. And here's the thing: I was telling somebody today that you get to 5-1 or 6-0. You don't know at midseason who's going to be hurt. You just have no idea how injuries are going to play. We've seen that happen how many times, Ben? How many times, Loren, when a team comes in there and they get to midseason and all of a sudden they're so banged up and beat up that their entire season goes in the tank. And if Florida can get to midseason healthy, you don't know what these other guys may have. The SEC is exponentially tougher this year because Oklahoma and Texas have joined the league. So now you've got that extra tough game that maybe a year ago you were playing Vanderbilt. Now all of a sudden you're playing Texas in Austin or Oklahoma in Norman, or they're coming to your place. Can you imagine Vanderbilt? Here comes Texas into Vanderbilt, and they're looking around. They're looking around that little rinky-dinky stadium, and they're thinking, you know what? Half of our team played in high school stadiums this big.
By the way, Florida's now number 7, 247 Sports overall team rankings for 2024. So that's what one player like that will help you jump up in the rankings. So the recruiting thing is taking a tournament for the better. They needed something like that. It's a big win for them. Now they got to do it on the field, which is very possible. We'll see what happens. Let me tell you guys about something you ought to know about. That's our friends at TitanMRI.com, who have been supporting our program in a big way, which we do appreciate. Titan MRI, worth the short drive to Gainesville. No insurance is no problem. You pay with cash or card. Same-day scheduling available. By the way, you can also schedule the weekends or nights or other times. If it doesn't fit your schedule, they'll accommodate you. North Central Florida's premier independent MRI facility. Come see why hundreds of people are visiting Gainesville location from Ocala, County, the villages. That's TitanMRI.com. Well, friends, I got the word today from a friend who was inside of the meeting with Todd Golden today or yesterday. Inside, really inside. Some very close boosters and people that you know, friends. We have a Todd Golden, and their appeal was, don't forget the people who got you where you are in the program. The tip-off clubs that were here a long time ago, you know what I'm talking about, who raised $250,000 for the basketball program, whatever. that kind of been forgotten. And Todd Golden, being new, wouldn't know about those things. You know the Ocala Gator tip-off club, Franz. You're there many times. They raised $250,000, and last time I looked, they couldn't even get a call back. It's not Todd's fault. They have to educate their people to know these are people that have supported the program, who have money and want to help. So why wouldn't you go there and just shake a hand and say, hey, come on over, we need you. That's the kind of, I think, that's the way you build networks, Ben. Again, picking up people who have done things in the past, who want to be a part of something, and adding on new people from Florida Victorious, who, by the way, are doing terrific under Freddie Weeby. He's doing a great job. So I think that's good news, Franz.
It is. And, you know, buddy, this is a talent acquisition business. And the way things have flipped in this talent acquisition business, you know, if you don't have the money, you aren't going to make it. And you aren't going to have the money if you don't have the relationships. And with, you know, I don't know that how many people understand how much money is in Ocala, Florida. There are very, very, very few places on this planet with as much money as there is in Ocala, Florida. And all you got to do, you don't believe that? Just take Highway 27 like you're going out to Williston and take a look at all those horse farms out there. They're, you know, 400, 500 acre horse farms with thoroughbreds that are going to be competing on Saturdays, like in this little race they have up in Louisville. You know,
Lexington.
Put a few pluggers.
Lexington.
They put a few put a few pluggers up there in Louisville at that little thing called the Kentucky Derby. That's on Saturdays in May. You know, every year. There's tremendous amount of money there, and you can't turn your back on that kind of money. You can't turn your back on a guy like Bill Koss, who's been a friend of the program for years. You can't turn your back on football people either, which we've seen happen in the past. People who are longtime supporters, and buddy, you know this is true, not just in Ocala, but around the state, who feel like they have been shunned, let's say, or cut out, or whatever you want to call it. I hate to say that we're in a state of damage control in this athletic department, but I think we are. I think we're at a place now where a lot of past sins have caught up with us. And by that, I mean, turn your back on people who could have and would have gladly supported this program if only someone would make a phone call or send an email, or I'm in town, you know, I'm a coach, I'm in town, and I give a call up to old Billy Bob there down on Southwest College Road in Ocala and say, hey, Billy Bob, I'm riding through town and thought I'd give you a call and just tell you how much we appreciate it. Spurrier was great at that. Spurrier was absolutely great at, he'd get into a town and he may not have the time to stop and see people, but he picked up the phone and he called them up and said, hey, just wanted to know, thinking about you, glad you support us.
Yep.
And stuff like this.
Good PR.
And that's been missing in
Agreed.
in basketball
Agreed.
and football for years.
Right. Ben, you ever go to Louisville for the Derby, or did you, Loren?
No,
I never made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was telling somebody the other day, I lived 2 hours literally 2 hours straight from Churchill Downs and never made it.
No.
I was there to see this old plugger. I think they got him on a fire sale named Secretariat. I saw him run, and he was a pretty good horse, buddy.
I've got a winning ticket on him still somewhere all myself. I never cashed it, for sure. Well, let's get to the last. I'm having a little difficult with the syncing up of the Wi-Fi now, since we're all four on there. But let me just get a few final thoughts from you guys. By the way, I saw Jeffrey Meldon last night. They just opened an office in Williston. They now have offices in Williston, Ocala, Gainesville, and Lake City. So he's expanding in that area as well. Jeffrey is one of the greats. He's one of the great boosters, supporters, great Gator, and he's helped them an awful lot. I want to go back to what we've been talking about for weeks. We needed to see an uptick in things in Gainesville for this program to get to the level it needs to be at. I know it's going to take more than a sign of one person. Let me start with Loren. How much closer is Florida now after picking off a premier player that a lot of people wanted, number 2 guy in the interior alignment in the portal, and guy in Zandamela? Now they're getting quality players they can do things with. How much better and how much faster, Loren? I'll start with you, and then Ben, then Franz. Are the Gators going to be in football because of this?
I think they'll be better. I mean, the additions on the back end at safety, improvements on the offensive line. I think they'll be more connected defensively. I mean, I got them winning 7 football games at least. So, when you look at it from that standpoint, it's much better. And from talking to people all throughout Gainesville, the people that are involved in the company really believe in Billy Napier and his vision for the Florida Gator football program. So as much as we're on the outside looking in, the people that are inside the program, and I mean, I'll give him that, as tough as I've been on him, there is very few people that have wavered on what Billy Napier is selling. So if you talk about a belief within the program, and then you talk about an improvement in talent, I mean, they have been abysmal at the safety position for the last 2 years, and inexplicably, in my opinion. But I think they've improved both athletically and from a size standpoint back there. They got some headhunters back there now, and so that gives them an opportunity to really be good on the back end. I think they'll be more, like I said, more connected on defense. The offensive line is an upgrade. I think they'll be just fine at the running back position as well as receiver, and they got a trigger man. So, I mean, I got them winning 7, 8 football games, and I think that would be right on par. They've kind of underachieved, in my opinion, the last 2 years, but this year they're primed. I mean, and Billy Napier, I mean, the one thing he kind of went out there and said, "Hey, we've got everything we need now. All the systems in place and things like that." And he's not the only one that said that. I mean, it's come from players. It's come from, everybody down to the support staff, people in the bullpen. So, I think they're a better football team. And, but like, we talk about it all the time, starts, that first game against Miami, all this other stuff that we talking about now kind of goes out the window, and you got buckle up and bust chops. So we'll see.
All right, Loren, we'll let you go because we're having Wi-Fi problems. Never say it, and you got your final thoughts. Appreciate it, brother. Talk to you again soon. Coach Loren Meadows. Franz, I tell you what, Ben, you go and give us your thoughts about it. And we've had a little visit for a while here. How much better is this team? Are they on their way? Is this real? What do you have to do to believe in this team is going to make a leap?
I do think it's real. I agree a lot with what Franz just said. I mean, Loren just said. I think because the thing about football is that people don't want to talk about enough is you got to win the perception battle. The reality happens on Saturdays. Every Saturday, that's the reality of the situation. But the perception is what get the fans in the seats. The perception is what make people like Cole Kublik and Josh Payton, these guys get, because they're from the outside looking in. But when they talking about them, when they on campus, they get to see getting big time recruits in the portal. Because it's not about getting guys, it's getting coveted guys who could have their pick of the litter. So yes, when you talk about winning the perception battle, you talk about being able to solidify that back end of the defense. You talk about what Coach Harris has been since he got on campus. You're talking about the fact that you got a signal caller in Graham Mertz. You talk about making sure you got former, even though he's a very very he's current former player, and Ricky Pearsall talking about what he sees in Eugene Wilson. That kind of stuff matters because Billy Napier seems to be a coach that his players want to go out there and win for him. Now, yes, the last couple of years, there has not been anything to write home about, but I do agree with what Loren said. I agree with what Franz said, even you said, buddy. when it comes to this team, they're going to make national news for one or two reasons. One, because they're Florida, two, because of how they're playing. Well, so far it's been because of who they are, not what they've shown. But you look at the pieces that they've gotten now, you always want to have a blend of guys that's been there, guys that's coming in from high school, and guys that's coming out of the portal. You got quality guys in all three areas. You got your future in DJ Lagway, who get to watch for a full season because Graham Merce is going into year two, healthy offseason, if you want to call it that, coming off an injury. And like I said, I mean, when you get the guys that you want, and you ain't going crazy worrying about an early sign of day, national sign of day, and you still winning the transfer portal. You got the two guys you covered in the 2024 class with McCray and talk about with McCray and you talk about Lagway. I like what Florida's doing. Yes, I'm biased in my assessment every time I'm talking about Florida, but I have a reason to be. And so far, so good. I mean, I like what Spurrier is doing. I like what Coach Spurrier be saying about the squad. And patience is one thing that you're not going to be given in the SEC. Definitely not at Florida. But I think patience is going to pay off. And we'll see. I mean, like we said, we don't get no favors. We get Miami first game of the year. But, right now the perception battle, which is what college football is when they're not playing, I think Florida's winning that battle right now. Can perception meet reality? I think it can.
Great stuff from Ben Troupe, 84 Reasons, a podcast. Don't miss it, brother. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Franz, it's up to you to take us home now. It's been a good couple of weeks for Billy and a good couple of weeks for Todd Golden. I know you have said in the past you feel like perhaps things are changing for the better. How much better, and what can we expect from here out?
Well, I'll start out with this. This is a talent, whether it's basketball or football, it's a talent acquisition business. Coaches, Al McGuire once said, coaching's about practice. And he said, when you have a game, the coach may do two or three things that alter the game. Sometimes I think it's more than that, but I think for the most part, if you average out over the season, the coach may make about 3 decisions a game that alter the game. And I think that's true in football too. Maybe a few more in football because because of the way the game is structured and played. But just to say, it's a talent acquisition business. You got the talent, you win. Dean Smith once told me that the ideal basketball team, this is back in the day when you had 15 scholarships, was he'd have 5 All-Americans, 5 high school All-Americans, 5 All-State guys who believe they should have been All-Americans, and 5 All-County guys who believe they're just as good as the All-Americans and they're pissed off that they didn't even make All-State. He said, because then you got push from the back, push from the middle, and the front guy and the guys up front know that if they don't bust their butts, they're going to get pushed out. And I think that we are finally at that point with football that Billy Napier has guys that can push from the bottom to the middle to the front. And the guys in the front know that if they don't do it, they're going to get pushed out. And I think it's taken this much time. I think, buddy, that all you got to do is look at last Thursday night to understand what Billy Napier was up against. And I bet I've had 15 people who tell me we may have made a mistake in the way we criticized Billy. We didn't realize that the situation was as bad as it is, but it's that bad. And I said, what made you think that? And they said, when you only have one guy drafted and only one guy who's a free agent to sign, then you know that the program has hit rock bottom. Well, the good thing about rock bottom is there's only one way to go, that's up. And I think that he's got people to go up with. I really believe he's got people to go up with. It's a lot easier for Todd Golden, buddy, to get upward than it is for Billy Napier. Billy Napier needs a whole lot more bodies to do it. Todd has only 13 scholarships, and he can really afford to play 8 guys and have 5 guys that are sort of in a developmental stage. And that's kind of the way it is in basketball. You don't see anybody playing all 13 guys. If you do, that's about as rare as finding lips on chickens. This is I think Billy has turned the corner as far as the talent acquisition. And the one thing I think that he's got to be really fearful of is that injury bug. And I think that had necessitated the changes that were made in the strength program. Is they know that they had to get bigger and stronger, but they also know that they have to stay healthy because you can't be derailed by one injury or two injuries. So I feel that things have changed here. I know people think I'm the old sunshine pumper, and I always see, and I'm an optimist. I'm not gonna apologize for being an optimist. I always believe the best in the Gators, but I think there's reason to believe the best in the Gators, buddy. I think things have changed in a good way, and I like the fact that people are now starting to realize that this is why Billy has done the things he's done, because he had to come in with a ground floor plan to rebuild the program. Buddy, if you and I are going to build a house together and it's just going to be you and me, we're going to be the labor. I mean, I realize it might take us longer than we got left on this earth to build it at our age and everything like that.
Better be a small house.
Exactly. Maybe we just build the garage, okay, and let somebody else build the house. But if we were to do that, the first thing we do is we dig the holes for the foundation, put the concrete in, then you start putting the bricks in one by one by one. And the bricks are starting to go in, and the foundation, I think, is strong. And I don't think people realized how weak the foundation of the program was when he took it over. I think that we've turned the corner. I think that the proof is going to be in the winning, but I really believe that this team is ready to do that. And I'll throw one more thing out before we go. Thank goodness that Billy Napier saw something in Graham Mertz that nobody else did. You remember this time last year, we had everybody in the world piling on Graham Mertz. Oh my gosh, we might as well have gotten Ethel Mertz, right? Instead, we get her great nephew Graham, and it was really that bad. You know it, I know it. It was really that bad. And look what happened. The guy throws 20 touchdown passes, only 3 interceptions. The only guy that's had a better year than that since the days of Tim Tebow is the only guy that's had a better year than that is Kyle Trask in 2020. So thank goodness Billy can recognize talent, obviously.
Yeah. By the way, Franz, just so you know, I ask you this as one of the guys who knows all things like this. You have Zandamela, you had Zook as the coach. What other players are coaching you think of with names start with Z?
Didn't we have an offensive lineman from Alachua?
I don't know. You're the guy.
Gosh,
look that up for your column, but read about it on Gator Bay when you can find it, okay? The Z Club.
Oh, let me throw one thing at everybody real quick. Last night, Jacob Young, who's a guy that I know a lot of people don't even remember him playing baseball for the Gators, but he did, and he was and he turned into being a very good outfielder. He's now playing center field for the Washington Nationals. Last night, he got thrown out on his 26th stolen base attempt since he came into the major leagues. The 4th best streak forever for somebody coming straight from the minor leagues into the big leagues. And this is a guy that nobody knew about. Baseball tonight postponed, doubleheader tomorrow starting at 3:00.
Good.
Big weekend, softball.
Big weekend.
3 games against the Aggies. And I believe that if the Gators win all 3, the Gators will be one of the top 8 teams in the country. and host all the way through, which is a really big deal, particularly with as many freshmen. And by golly, if you didn't see last night softball game, you missed it.
Wow. They gave it away 3 times and got it back.
I know. And have you ever seen anybody celebrate a home run like Kendra Falby?
Well, I don't blame her. It was a great.
I mean, her first one, she's come so close so many times, and people don't realize she can drive the ball too. They see her bunt and do all these other things. And then to top it all off, she makes the defensive play of the game to make the catch and the throw to double up the runner.
Terrific player.
In the ball game.
See, folks, you don't get stuff like this anyplace else. That's why you got to subscribe to GatorBaitMedia.com and read our senior columnists with thoughts of the day, the most popular thing anybody's got. Francis Beard doing it. Double duty on the air and online. Franz, as usual, great stuff, my friend. Have a great weekend. We'll catch up on Monday, all right?
On the air and the land and the sea.
There you go, man. There you go.
Just like the Marine.
There you go. So the Coast Guard, in honor of Ricky Pearsall. So who joined the Coast Guard.